A warm welcome to everybody that is joining us. We are delighted to have you with us. Wonderful to see colleagues from NIPN, Niger, to see Helena. Lovely to have you also with us. GIZ colleagues, GAIN colleagues, EPHI, GIZ. Lovely to have you all with us. We're just going to give it a few minutes for everybody to join and then we will get started. But a warm welcome to all of you that are here with us today. We really appreciate you being here and being part of this wonderful celebration as we celebrate the 10 years of NIPN and what it has achieved. So I'm going to just give it a few more minutes and then we will get started with our program for the day. So thank you all around the world for being with us. It's so special to have you here. I'm going to just give us another minute. Patricia, if you could lower your hand, please, that would be appreciated. Translators, I am taking it that you are already in action. If we could be asking Patricia, please, to lower her hand, or Antonios, if you could lower the raised hands. Thank you. So once again, a warm welcome to those of you that are joining us. It's lovely to see so many colleagues. I'm going to give it one more minute for others to join, and then we will get started. So thank you very much for being with us. All right, so as we begin our event, I'd like to just give you a few housekeeping notices. Please will you note that at the bottom of your screen on the left side, you will see interpretation is available and you can select between our English or our French translation. So please make sure you have selected the language that you would like to hear our webinar in. If you hover your mouse just above that translation, you will see an option to go to what is called gallery view. It is the third from the left. So if you change to gallery view, then you'll be able to see more of the speakers and people when they are speaking. So you are welcome to also change your setting to gallery view, as well as choose your language of translation. Also, to let you know that this event is a celebration event where we're going to be hearing from many of those that have been involved with NIPN, National Information Platforms for Nutrition, as we reflect on its 10 years of implementation. There is no Q&A, so there will be no questions that we will be taking. If there's anybody that you are particularly interested in engaging bilaterally with, please reach out to them or to our NIPN colleagues to set up a bilateral discussion on anything that you've heard. So today's going to be a presentation, panel discussion, a video, and reflections from various participants and our funders and implementers. So we won't be having a Q&A, but you are welcome to use the chat box to say hello and to introduce yourself. I see many have already, So it's lovely to have you joining us also in the chat box as well. So we are looking forward to our event, and we are going to really be having this wonderful celebration. My name is Jane Badham. I'm a public health nutritionist, and I have been very lucky to be involved with NIPN since its inception, where I have facilitated the global gatherings of NIPN and really got to know many of you that are on this call, and really feel very honored to have been part of NIPN in its wonderful journey. And I think today you're going to hear just how much it has achieved. I am going to remind all our speakers and myself that as we are having translation, to make sure we speak fairly slowly to help our translators be able to translate clearly and accurately. So that's a reminder to everybody. And with that, we are delighted to have you with us, and even more delighted that we are going to now move forward and start with our first presentation, where we are going to be taking a look back at what NIPN has achieved in its 10 years of implementation, the NIPN story and the NIPN success. So it's my pleasure to ask Barbara to please join us. Barbara, I think any of you who are involved in NIPN know Barbara well. Barbara Bailey is a nutrition advisor on C4N-NIPN. Barbara, looking forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Jane. I hope you can hear me well. I hope my sound is perfect. Perfect. So thank you so much. I'm really happy to be with you and to celebrate NIPN together. I see many familiar names in the participant list. That's really nice. I will do my best to celebrate 10 years of NIPN in the next 15 minutes. So bear with me. It's impossible to go through all the great achievements and the important challenges that the project has also overcome. But we'll do our best to give justice to all this great work. So let's first start with a definition of what is an information platform for nutrition, NIPN, National Information Platform for Nutrition. But what do we mean by information platform? So at NIPN, we define information platform by a team of experts, statisticians, communicants, nutritionists, coordinators, others that work together to develop dashboards, scorecards, websites, repositories. They are dedicated to nutrition, to information on the relevant themes around nutrition. A typical NIPN team in country is between 5 and 6 staff, and they are focusing on monitoring national plans, N4G commitment, SDG indicators. NIPN Phase 1, started in 2015, was co-financed by the European Union, the FCDO, the Gates Foundation, and from 2020 onwards, up to now, it was co-financed by the EU still and the BMZ. And at country level, it is supported and implemented by national governments with technical support from GIZ, UNICEF, and CATIE. So with this definition in mind, with all this information in mind, let's go a bit further into the NIPN work and how does NIPN operate at on a daily basis at national level, at country level. So it starts all with the formulation of questions that are in line with national priorities. So here's the step one at the middle of the circle. Then NIPN, so NIPN staff, experts, when the questions have been defined, they go into data analysis. First, gather data. What is data that are existing and how can they answer the questions that were defined? When the analysis is done, then it's time to disseminate and give the results to the right people, the decision makers, to influence and have new policies that will be in line with the evidence. So this is really the operational cycle of NIPN. So with all these basic principles in mind, let's go to the NIPN achievements. And yes, it's been 10 years. So where did we start? 10 years ago, we started in 2015 when nutrition information in countries, in the NIPN countries, was dispersed with no dedicated expertise, and the data was fragmented across health sectors, health systems, ministries, NGOs, UN bodies, etc. 10 years later, in 9 NIPN countries, they have dedicated experts to nutrition in their national statistical institute or research institutes that are able to influence national policies. And among the NIPN staff, 80% are civil servants. So this didn't come from one day to another. Let's go together to this journey. So it started in 2015, and the first 2-3 years we are dedicated to the setup of the platforms and the global unit at the global support unit based in Europe. So it started first with 9 countries: Bangladesh, Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Ethiopia, Guatemala, Kenya, Lao PDR, Niger, and Uganda. Then, going through all our files, we could identify the first ever NIPN publication. That was a report from Bangladesh, and it was published in 2017. Since then, many publications have been released by all NIPN platforms, and we invite you to go to the NIPN website. There is a link. We'll share this presentation afterwards, and you will see the great work, the important number of reports and materials developed by the countries over the years. In 2019, countries started their first policy question formulation cycle. So the cycle that I showed you just before. Here we put 2 examples because it's just too many countries that we cannot go through all of them in 10 minutes. But here are 2 examples from Ethiopia, which started by developing 22 questions, and Niger, who started their first policy question formulation cycle with 5 questions. The links are there. You can navigate to and look at what questions were defined and could be answered. In 2020, remember, big year, pandemic hit us, and NIPN platforms had to reorient and were successful in reorienting their analysis to provide evidence on COVID and nutrition. And here we put an example of Ethiopia. They had this great, important piece of work that was released at that time. And again, go visit, read the great analysis they did. Let's do a bit of a jump to 2021. This is when Burkina Faso officially launched their website, which became a unique repository for nutrition information. And it was followed a year later by Kenya. I was there during the launch. It was a big event and a big achievement. So the website is available. You can go there and have all the information on food security and nutrition for Kenya. And in total, 87 NIPN countries that have developed a data dashboard for nutrition, a unique website with all data repository for their country. We did a review last year that was released, presented, and here's the link so you can go and see all the great visualization tools that NIPN countries have developed and released and published. In 2022, this is a big challenge for NIPN. It's the closure of Bangladesh. It was not foreseen to close that early, and it provided, it was an opportunity to learn from this early closure. So we did a review that was published into a journal online. Here the link. Go to there. It's really very interesting to know how and why it was closed. And it was basically a setup, an institutional setup that was not the best, that could have been better. So this learning was important to us to make better in other countries. In 2023, we did an evaluation of the NIPN phase 1 to continue learning and to continue improving in other countries. We did this work with the N4D group. The report is online, available, and we call it a contribution study because it's really hard to understand what NIPN what can be attributed to NIPN as success and as challenges. So here it's what NIPN could contribute to in countries. So we invite you to look at this publication because it's still very relevant. In 2023, big celebration. Remember, we started with 9 countries, then we lost Bangladesh, then we have a 10th countries that become then 9 because we had lost Bangladesh in between. Zambia joined the NIPN community world. In 2024, we initiated something quite innovative. We call it the NIPN for Nice. It was a time when we thought, okay, already it's been 9 years of NIPN implementation. A lot of materials, a lot of knowledge have been gathered, have been developed. How could we share this knowledge beyond the NIPN communities and make use of it beyond the NIPN countries? So the NIPN for Nice is a way to support some countries without established NIPN platforms to further strengthen their nutrition information system. And so now we have been supporting 4 countries: Benin, Madagascar, Mali, and Sierra Leone. In 2024 still, Guatemala launched a web portal to monitor anthropometric indicators. And actually, Guatemala, since the beginning of its implementation, was extremely prolific in developing and releasing IT technology. And here's an example of the GeoPortal, but in total, they developed 10 websites and 5 mobile applications dedicating to monitoring nutrition and food security in Guatemala. In 2024, this is also the year where 4 NIPN countries started to roll out NIPN at subnational level. They realized how nice it is to have a platform at national level, but what if we do the same at subnational level, at regional level, where also there is a need for further multi-sectoral collaboration, coordination. So LAO-PDR, Kenya, Niger, and Ethiopia, they took this important step, and we just released this week an important document to share this experience. And here is a picture of an exchange that took place in 2023 in Laos with Kenya and Ethiopia team joining Laos and visiting Laos to learn from each other. 2025, last year, big year for the nutrition community with the N4G event that took place in Paris. At NIPN, we launched a call to invest in nutrition information system, and the NIPN platforms also did an important work in supporting their governments in developing and monitoring their N4G commitments. And here there is a good example from Côte d'Ivoire, and hopefully Patricia, who is in the call, can later also tell us more about this important piece of work from NIPN in Côte d'Ivoire. In 2025, Uganda used the result from the LIST training that they received. LIST stands for the Live Save tool. It's a important, it's a very interesting methodology to calculate the number of lives that can be saved if you apply if you deliver a certain package of intervention in the country. And in total, it's 9 NIPN countries that received such a training. In Uganda, they could use the results from this training and from this list analysis to inform their new action plan for nutrition. Very important step that NIPN took in Uganda last year. And that brings us to now, 2026. And stay tuned because we want to continue even if the NIPN coordination team is closing and some of the platform have stopped receiving external funding. We want to continue using the learning and the experience from NIPN and to share it beyond the NIPN communities. And yes, a bit of teaser here. Stay tuned. We're gonna we will do something with all this great material still. Here is a busy slide just to show you the amazing and diverse knowledge product that NIPN platforms have developed. There is one product from each platform here. It was hard to choose, but yes, the work has been extremely dense, and you have all of this available on the NIPN website. So take a bit of time and navigate through that. You'll have a really nice material there. Earlier this year, we did a small survey asking the NIPN coordinators, the 9 NIPN coordinators, to share their feelings about the NIPN project in their countries. We asked them some questions and asked if they were strongly disagreement or in strongly agreement with this. And clearly, it shows that they believe NIPN was aligned with the national needs. That was very important for the project from the beginning. So this is a success. NIPN project improved access to nutrition information in countries. It strengthened analysis and use of existing data. It strengthened visualization of existing data. What remains still to for effort and for work, it's something that we need to continue working on, is the gender approach that we can make it better integrated into the NIPRIC team. So that's an important finding. In terms of lesson learned, we had many, NIPN coordinators had many. We selected those 3 that are extremely important and a good base. The first is a strong institutional anchoring is essential from the start, and the lesson learned from closure of Bangladesh is also very important there. Political commitment and multi-sectoral engagement are critical for success. This is not a surprise, but we cannot say that too often, I think, too many times. This is extremely important. And sustainability must be planned very early, including government ownership financing. Actually, I would say especially government ownership and financing. So that is all the learnings, and this was the 10 years journey of NIPN. I thank you for your attention. Here are the pictures from the NIPN Global Gathering, the first one in 2018 in Paris, and the last one last year in Lusaka, Zambia. And Jane, I think I found you on both pictures. So you really are part of the NIPN community from the very beginning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Barbara. What a wonderful journey one can see in what you have presented, and much appreciated. And I think back to those early days of the first meeting and then our last meeting last year. Truly wonderful to see a project like this grow and flourish. Often these kind of projects might just stagnate along the way, but NIPN has become a family. It's become a journey where people have been able to share and learn from each other. And I think that is truly something to celebrate. And as Barbara gave us the high level picture, I'm now going to have 4 people join me for a panel discussion. And we're going to hear from the country perspectives on NIPN. And you'll see on your screen, I have with me Dr. Aragash Samuel, who's the NIPN coordinator and lead researcher of the Ethiopian Public Health Institute. I have Dr. Patricia Ngoran, who is the coordinator of the National Council for Food and Nutrition in Cote d'Ivoire, and who will speak in French. I have Cicely Matou, who's a nutrition specialist on governance and systems at UNICEF in Kenya. And you heard that Kenya was one of the countries that joined further down the NIPN journey, but still wonderful that they have taken the NIPN challenge. And then I have Dr. Abubakar Mamadou, who is the Director of Nutrition from Niger. Really, when I see all 4 of you, I truly see this is the NIPN family that we are seeing here. So, Aragash, I'm going to start with you. You have heard the big picture presentation, but I want to now deep dive into Ethiopia and ask you to share with us perhaps 1 or 2 of the biggest achievements that you feel and you know because you've been involved from the beginning. What has been 1 or 2 big achievements of NIPN in Ethiopia? And we see you on our screen, Aragash, so let me hear what you are going to share with us.
Thank you very much, Jane. And I would like to thank the NIPN Global team for organizing such kind of celebration event. Yes, let me start from the thought Barbara said just few minutes earlier. You know, she was saying like in 2026 they have given least training in Uganda, I think, and they have used that training. So one of our success in Ethiopia is, you know, we have also used least training, and we have produced evidence for the government. I hope many of you know about Sakota Declaration. So the program managers asked us, what evidence can you bring us to show to our high level officials? What is the achievement of Sakota Declaration over the last few years? So how many stunting was reduced? How many days was averted? So can you bring us evidence? That was just given us by a call. So the team has sat down and tried to collect all the evidences available, and we used list this life save tools software to synthesize evidence to show to the government how the Sokota Declaration intervention has reduced stunting and days for the last few years of intervention. So, based on our, I can say, based on our finding and other additional findings, the government was able to allocate 650 million Ethiopian birr per year for per warada. So this amount was allocated for intervention districts, warada in our language is district. So that amount of money was allocated to districts for the nutrition intervention. So I can say this is one of our big achievement. So in addition to that, we have also recently, you know, our school feeding program is not very active, but we are doing well in Addis and in Oromia, and mainly in these two regions. So with our team, we have also prepared school feeding booklet, and using this school feeding booklet we try to advocate the importance of providing school feeding for school children. So we have prepared a booklet, and also we have worked on cooking demonstration along with GIZ. They have a project called Clean Stove project, so something like the Clean Stove, or maybe I'm wrong. But with this project, we have also started doing some demonstration. I believe this helped the school feeding program in Addis. So these are two examples I can say right now, but still there are many more examples. Over to you, Jane.
Wonderful, Aragash. Thank you. And yes, there will be many examples because you've had 10 years of really using the NIPN. And what I love about what you've just said and what I wrote down is it's all about finding the right questions. And I remember in Paris, we spent time learning how to find the way to ask the right questions. And then I loved your term that you synthesized the evidence, because I think that's important. We know when we're speaking to policymakers, they need the short, sharp, crisp evidence. And that's enabled you to make sure that the interventions have been very targeted to where they needed most. And that's a wonderful celebration of exactly what NIPN had hoped to achieve. So thank you for sharing that, both and in the school feeding, really important and increasingly important. So thank you, Aragash, and I'm sure we'll come back to you as well. But let me go now to Niger. A reminder to anyone who joined later, you have translation on the bottom left of your screen. Please make sure if you want to hear in English that you have English selected, because I'm going to go now to Dr. Patricia Ngoran, who is the coordinator for the National Council for Food and Nutrition in Cote d'Ivoire. Dr. Patricia, you have also been a very important part of NIPN for as long as I can remember. So, as we celebrate these 10 years of NIPN, I'm going to ask you again to share with us one or two, because we still want to get to everybody else, of the greatest achievements that you feel NIPN has had in Cote d'Ivoire. Dr. Patricia, over to you. I hope you can unmute yourself and open your camera. Merci.
Merci, Jane.
Thank you, Jane. Elhen, good morning, everyone. We are really proud of celebrating 10 years. It's been a long journey, and I think that it is worth celebrating, and we are really proud. I am really proud. In 2018, it was when we were co-opted among the countries, and I wanted to say also that this was very important for us. So one very important element was exactly that. What I mean by that is that that was the federator element in terms of implementation, centralization. We're talking about multi-sectorial plans. I think that this is a very important tool, and the first study that we made before implementing PNI is the base study. And it was very important for us because working in multi-sectoriality implies having data from everyone. But we soon realized that there was a weakness. It was exactly that, getting the data, and even the presence of this data in such important sector as is the case with agriculture. So it was very important when we talk about multi-sectoriality to be all at the same level. We thought that it was a very important element in terms of nutrition, and even today it's not always easy. And with PENIM, something else that I'd like to congratulate for is the capacity building, because having seen these weaknesses, there are two sectors in my eyes that were important. What is PENI for me? It is gathering data, analyze them, centralize them. So without sectorial data, we could not have a PENI, and I mean NIPN in English. So we were able to realize also that there was also a problem in terms of data culture regarding nutrition. So it was also important to tackle that before gathering all the data. But beyond that, I should also say that in Cote d'Ivoire, the implementation of the NIPN team, at a very early stage, we understood the importance, and there was a law that was voted in order to mobilize the human resources that were provided by the state directly from the state, and even the funding of these activities. So today we are very happy to know that we are already ready in terms of sustainability of this project and endeavor. What I wanted to add also is what's important in Cote d'Ivoire in terms of this national information platform from nutrition is the analysis with some software in order to have high impact nutritional interventions, which was the case with the last multi-sectorial plan 2024-2027. The data of the NIPN really helped us to go very fast and to be able basically to touch with our fingers to see concretely everything. We were able to have concrete interventions, high impact and high importance interventions at a lesser cost. So I can say that everything has been said. We implemented the data, the implementation of the multi-sectorial follow-up system on nutrition that was done with the NIPN. We implemented also a follow-up and evaluation system that's reliable, that's based on a common framework of results. This allowed us also to have a common annual basically framework of the state of play. So now I will stop here, I think. Thank you.
Patricia, so important, and you covered so many things. But I think what I am really glad that you raised strongly is the multi-sectoral nature of NIPN, and that NIPN really, the kind of success that we achieve is when we have different sectors engaged. And I think that's been something that I've really loved over the years, is seeing country delegates come together at the global gathering where there's been Bureau of Statistics, as well as nutrition people, as well as people from other sectors, because we know nutrition is multi-sectoral, and you really highlighted that. I also liked how you highlighted how critical data is, which is also what Arigash in many ways said as well, is having that data. And I loved your words, Patricia, of a data culture for nutrition. And that is critical, because without data, we can't share the data and we can't get the answers fast. And what you were saying is when you need answers, you need them fast. So the data needs to be there. And linked to that was capacity development. So I think those three key take homes from you about multi-sectoral, the need for data and readily available data, and then capacity building to fill those gaps in order to really inform the policy and decision making have been so critical. And congratulations to Cote d'Ivoire in what you've done and in the sustainability you're going to have going forward. So, really, thank you very much for sharing that so clearly. I'm going to come now to Kenya, one of the newer kids on the block. Cicely, wonderful to have you join us. And that's the joy of NIPN, is over the years, countries, we've heard from Barbara, countries have joined, new countries have come along. And it doesn't mean that if you weren't there at the beginning, that you can't begin implementing what NIPN is all about. So in the time that we've had Kenya as part of NIPN, Cicely, what are you most proud of the achievements that have happened? Let's hear two or so from you.
Yeah, many thanks, Jane and colleagues, for being here today. And let me also acknowledge that while I'm from UNICEF, I would wish to acknowledge the critical role that our government colleagues have actually played in rolling out NIPN in Kenya, namely led by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics and KIPRA colleagues. I believe they're on the call today, and also Ministry of Health, who are also key contributors to this process. So really proud of the work done here in Kenya, and jointly so. So one key thing we are proud of is the NIPN fraternity in Kenya. I think everybody we spoke to over the last couple of weeks, everybody clearly said it's the NIPN web portal. For us, this is a deal breaker in Kenya, because while all along KNBS has had the capacity to bring together data or have it together, we did not have a one-stop shop where by the click of the mouse we could readily get data on food and nutrition security in Kenya. And with NIPN, we've not only been able to achieve that dream, but to also actually have it rolled out to one of the pilot counties, which is Isiolo, as part of our sub-national level rollout of NIPN. And looking ahead, Jane, to also mention that we do have some other 6 additional counties where we look to support and have them establish their NIPN portals in 2026. So that's something we are very proud of. And beyond that, NIPN has also enabled us to have KNBS readily bring out its data repository role for nutrition data. Because just now, if you go to the portal, you'll be able to see all research papers, all policies, all key plans, both at national and county level, that have been developed for nutrition. So very proud of that. And beyond that, we've also had a chance to comprehensively go through our given food and nutrition data indicators. So as a country, we now have a comprehensive list of those indicators that are agreed upon, not just within KNBS, KIPRA, or Ministry of Health, but really across all other sector ministries, water, trade, social protection, bringing out the element of multi-sectoral engagement for nutrition, which is a really big issue. The second key success that we are proud of, NIPN, it has actually enabled us to strengthen and institutionalize nutrition governance systems. And what do we mean by that? Courtesy of NIPN, we've been able, either through the evidence that's generated by NIPN or through the engagements we are having under NIPN, we've been able to enshrine nutrition across key government planning documents. This includes the medium-term plans at the national level, and it also includes the county integrated development plans at the county level. And beyond that, courtesy of NIPN, we've been able to do the very first public financing for nutrition curriculum for Kenya being developed. And the beauty of this is that this has been also jointly developed with the Kenya School of Government and Ministry of Health, making it readily available to any future policymakers in Kenya. They can readily be trained on this, and then they're able to execute that to ensure that nutrition resources are secured. Linked to that, we've also, under NIPN, been able to enhance nutrition coordination initiatives and specifically multi-sectoral coordination for nutrition. Across all the 7 NIPN counties at subnational level, Jen, we've been able to actually have all these counties establish high-level multi-stakeholder coordination platforms for nutrition. So essentially, this is going to enhance our coordination and also accountability for nutrition results moving forward. And finally, a very key point here is institutionalization of nutrition in KNBS, as already mentioned, but beyond that, in KIPRA, who have now, courtesy of NIPN, established a nutrition unit within KIPRA offices. And this is really a very big win, because as we look at the sustainability agenda, then it means under KIPRA, under this unit, we will regularly be able to have agendas around nutrition policy developments being steered where they really need to be steered under this body. Thank you, and back to you, Jen.
Cicely, thank you so much. I'm just loving this discussion, because what I'm seeing is each one of you are presenting something that starts putting together the whole picture of what NIPN is as a whole. And what I love about what you shared with us was this importance of having this web portal and that ability to have data, because having data is one thing, but having that data available to be shared, to be used for making decisions is another important thing. There's that famous saying of what you don't measure, you don't manage. But if you're not sharing what you're measuring, you don't even know how to begin. And I love how you've seen that then move down to that kind of subnational level, where actually so many of the important decisions have to take place, and how this portal has enabled that data to be available at both the national and the subnational level. And I really then, the second thing I took away from what you have been sharing with us, Cicely, is the fact that this enables nutrition to be embedded in other organizations, other stakeholder groupings, as well as where we really need it then to be in plans and policies. Because only once we have it there, and you touched on it, does accountability become a real thing. Because when it's in a policy or a plan, it has to happen and be accounted for. And the third point that you raised then again was coordination, and allowing NIPN, allowing one to have these coordinations, being able to bring like public financing for nutrition in. And I just think we're hearing so many of these elements between all of our speakers that create the comprehensive nature that NIPN is, and how different countries will draw on the different elements that NIPN enables. So thank you so much, Cicely, for those sharings. I'm going to go last but not least, so to Dr. Abubakar Mohamedou, who, as I said, is the nutrition director from Niger. Dr. Abubakar, you've been listening to our other 3 speakers around what they've had as successes of NIPN in their country. We'd love to hear from you now, either adding another component to what they have said, or re-emphasizing some of those elements that have been something that makes you really proud of of NIPN in Niger, because you've also been involved from the beginning. Lovely to see you, Dr. Abubakar. Over to you.
Merci à vous. Permettez-moi d'abord de rendre grâce à Dieu.
Thank you very much. Uh, thank you. I'd like to also thank God and thank you for giving me the possibility to have assisted to this celebration. Back then, I was part of this dynamics and I followed the evolution as Patricia and the others. We welcomed with a lot of expectations this initiative. So thank you for the organizers, for the follow up and for the preparation. And thank you to the partners who allowed us also to reach these results that we can now say we're proud of. What I would like to say, even though I might repeat some of the elements that were mentioned, we have similar challenges. The valuation of having data, statistical data, the valuation or the value, who says value, it talks also about data quality. We have a challenge. It's a challenge of commitment of the actors, the deciders at operational level as well. We also have a deficit of operational capacity in order to implement interventions in the area of nutrition. We had a lot of hopes that we will be able to take up these challenges, but we are proud that we went even beyond the goals that we set ourselves. In these countries, we were able to implement platforms, platforms for deep analysis of the NIPN. And we have today the tools for advocacy that we can present to the decision makers. And we also have the tools, the operational tools that are going to guide the implementation of these interventions. Today, we can now be proud in Niger of having been able to use other elements like academia with the PNIN, the NIPN. We also implemented trainings, training curriculums for the other sectors that are contributors and actors that are not necessarily nutritionists, but who can help us today because they are now also trained in this area. And I would like also to express my joy about all this and to say that this makes us really proud. We are really proud that this national information platform for nutrition was able to create the conditions. And there was a picture that was shown showing a yearly gathering at the beginning of this call. The nutrition actors were there, and I think this meeting is going to be in Brussels or Amsterdam. I presented the NIPM as being a tree that has roots, branches, a trunk, and the National Institution of Statistics and the High Commissioner for Nutrition that was in charge of the strategy. So they're all part of this tree. And today we are really proud of the conditions of the sustainability and the governmental services that are there now that can be still obviously reinforced and scaled. This is, however, a great pride to be able to have been able to engage and to spark the interest of the United Nations and of other partners towards this multi-sectorial approach and in favor of the NIPN to guarantee nutritional security. So, Jane, this is, in a few words, what I wanted to express regarding the NIPN, its evolution. Today, it is not simply only a platform for information, but it has become really a framework of development of nutrition. This is what I can say. So, thank you so much. Thank you for having me today in this event. And obviously, I cannot be there in presential, but at least I can be here online. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Your insights. I wrote down 4 words beginning with the letter E in English that you, I feel, really shared with us that it beautifully describe NIPN over these 10 years. The first one was the word expectations. Everybody came into NIPN whenever they joined with some kind of expectation. And I love that you shared how those expectations have been exceeded. When everyone realized the value of what NIPN could offer, we could go beyond those initial expectations. There's not many projects where one can say that. So, really appreciate your word expectations. The second word that you came to me with your E was evolution. And I think that is also so critical and about the celebration of NIPN is that any program or project like this needs to evolve. Each country will evolve slightly differently. As the evidence starts to show things, it shows where implementation and projects are necessary. You showed it also showed where the gaps are necessary that need filling. And that's part of the importance of evolution in the NIPN project. I then loved your next one, which I've put as engagement. And you're the first one to really mention the fact that NIPN allowed you to have advocacy tools. So important. And I know that in the other speakers that spoke, they also have made use of NIPN as an advocacy tool and what NIPN brings. But you actually mentioned that advocacy to allow engagement. And then my fourth E that I put from what you said to us, Dr. Abubakar, is evaluation. The fact that you were realizing the data quality wasn't good, that there were capacity constraints, that is so important. And so often in the work that we do, we only talk about the good things that we achieved. But evaluation, and Barbara talked about it as well, how NIPN over the years has evaluated itself, not only at the country level, but NIPN as a platform, and has been able to then use that to reshape itself and change. And I think that is so important. So I hope everyone who has been listening has really found that you have seen how the NIPN platform over these 10 years is really worth celebrating, because there are so many elements that we have heard from our 4 countries that have been part of the panel discussion. And if we'd had the other countries, I think we would have heard many of the similar things, perhaps some unique things. And that's something else that I think is so critical about NIPN, is that each country can shape it to fill what they need. And yet at the same time, we remain a part of this family with lots of things that are actually the same across the countries, but perhaps manifest themselves in slightly different forms and need slightly different solutions. And the joy again of NIPN and the gatherings and the ability to get together with each other was always to learn from each other. And over the 10 years of the global gatherings, I think anybody who's been part of NIPN would agree one of the key elements of those global gatherings was the learning and sharing from each other. Every country walked away being able to say, wow, we have learned something wonderful from this global gathering, from our engagement with X or Y country. And so often these global gatherings are just considered a chance just to get together for the sake of getting together. That's never been the case with NIPN. The global gatherings have been all about learning and sharing and learning from each other. And I really appreciate the feedback you have given all of us. Now I'm going to challenge in the 2 minutes we have left. 2 minutes we have left. So I'm going to come back to all four of my panelists and ask you to give me one word. You haven't prepared for this, but you know with me, I'm going to ask you what you haven't prepared for. One word that for you encapsulates what nutrition has achieved in your country. One word. I've given you a moment to think. Aragash, I'm going to you first. What is your one word that would describe the celebration of NIPN in Ethiopia over these years? Let's see if we can have you unmute yourself, Aragash, and give me your one word.
Thank you very much, Jane. It's difficult to find one word that describes NIPN, but if I want to say just in one word, NIPN has capacitated or capacity development in all ways, like be it for researchers or for media or for even for the institutes, for the,
Fantastic.
capacity,
Capacitated.
capacitating, yeah.
Thank you.
Can I?
Patricia, what is your one word that you think is NIPN in the context of Cote d'Ivoire? All right, I don't think we're managing to find Patricia. Patricia, are you able to unmute yourself and give us the one word that you think is NIPN Cote d'Ivoire? All right, we might come back to Patricia. Cicely, let's come to you next. What's your one word for NIPN Kenya?
I would say it's the magical multiplier. That's how I would tag it, because it's unlocked lots of things for us: multi-sectoral engagement, capacity building, and it all just keeps going on and on. Yeah, thanks.
I love it. So a multiplier, and even
Yeah,
a magical multiplier.
magical multiplier. Yeah,
I
thanks.
love that. Thank you so much, Cicely. Yes, you knew I was going to come to you next, Dr. Abubakar. What's that one word that you think is NIPN in Niger?
In Niger, I have two words, not one. The first one is integration. For me, NIPN is about integration of countries. It is a framework of integrating interventions. It's a framework of integration of actors in the different sectors. So this goes towards multisectoriality. And the second word, I it's perennity or sustainability. Perennity. So NIPN allows us to consolidate and make all the initiatives more sustainable. So these are the two words that I would say. Thank you.
And you see, I can put you on the spot and you can come with those answers. I think that's lovely. Capacitated, the magical multiplier, integration, and sustainability. Thank you so much to our panelists. Really appreciate your input. We're going to go to a video now. And this is a video. Oh, Patricia, I do see you on the screen. Are you able to unmute yourself and give me your one word? I couldn't hear you just now, but I see you now. Have you got your one word for NIPN in Côte d'Ivoire?
Merci, on avait perdu le réseau. Je vais faire très vite. En effet, moi, pénible, ça rime avec la synergie. Parce que avec la pénible, le fait d'avoir travaillé tous les secteurs, même avec les secteurs qui sont pas de la nutrition, quand je prends tous les milieux de la recherche, le milieu académique, j'allais dire aussi, toutes les grandes écoles de l'NCA, de la statistique, on a vraiment fait une synergie. Et j'allais dire un deuxième petit mot, comme on l'a dit, c'est la culture des données. Ça a permis en Côte d'Ivoire de montrer, de donner la visibilité aux données nutritionnelles, leur importance. Voilà ce que je voudrais dire. Merci.
Merci, Patricia, and I'm glad we could get you back on. I was getting worried about that. So thank you so much for also sharing that. Much appreciated. Our panel have been wonderful. So thank you so much to all of you. We're going to move on now to watch a short video that was developed at the very start of NIPN in Niger. And they put this together to be able to explain what NIPN was about and how NIPN works. So it'll be lovely to see. I remember this video, and let's share it now of seeing at the start of the project what NIPN Niger was going to be all about. Yeah, we're not hearing any sound.
We don't hear the sound.
Thank you. I know we're not hearing the sound, so Barbara, perhaps we can just go back a bit and see if you can start it again with the sound. Give it a moment and we'll see if we can get it up with the sound. Otherwise, we'll move on and we might then come back to it. Right, I see Barbara's doing another try. Here you go, Barbara. Let's see.
Bonjour. Tu te demandes qui on est?
Good morning. You are asking what it's really working with this platform for nutrition. You're doing it very well. You have to fight all the different bad habits as far as nutrition is concerned. We have to see what is the services offered by the platform. Different services that we are involved, like national, regional, municipal, and community authorities that are involved in this fight, and the ministry, the donors, the technical and financial partners, national and international NGOs, civil society, universities, research centers, and the population and the media. And this platform is there for you. So this platform, technically supported by the National Institute of Statistics of Niger, works to conduct in-depth survey analysis for the entire program for the country, and we define the priorities for the nutritional national, for the political national nutrition policy, which is really important. This platform developed its own web portal, which is called Co-organised Niger platform. We have 14 databases, hundreds of nutrition indicators, and explain the link between the different problems between the environment, water, sanitation, health, agriculture. And all this information is really important to understand what is working better to orientate the policies for the ill nutrition in Nigeria. We have to make people aware and parliamentarian of these problems for the interesting. We encourage the government efforts to increase the domestic effort. The Ministry of Health, Social Affairs and Population is really working in the platform with to develop these possibility, advocates, and for a growing commitment as part of the European Union budgetary support. And it is really important. They say that takes two to tango, but we see how we could work together, how we could have a good nutrition program. All national and international partners must exchange their information and experience in a virtuous circle from bottom to top and top to bottom, horizontally also. This policy is at the heart of all the debate. It must be nurtured so that it can support decision makers to define public policies. This is your tool to fight against all the bad malnutrition forms in Niger. So we are going to make everything possible so that we fight this fight together. And it takes two to tango. Thank you. Hello again.
Niger, I love the key thing was this is yours, because that's what NIPN has always been about. It's been about each country and its multi stakeholders taking ownership of the NIPN platform for what they needed to do for them to come with solutions. And I love that picture of fighting malnutrition, because that's the mission that all of us, I think, have at our heart, and why so many of us wake up each day. So thank you very much. NIPN would not actually be NIPN if it weren't also for our international partners. And for a project to have sustained with its financing and its partners for 10 years is in itself a great success. And it shows so much about the partners that we've had on this journey. So it's a joy now that I am able to ask our partners to come with some reflection, and you will see I'll be calling on our three partners. And I'm immediately going to start by going to you, Ampara Gonzalez, and lovely to see you now on the screen, Head of the Sector Nutrition of the European Commission, Director General for International Partnerships. Ampara, thank you for joining us today in your busy schedule. You've been a critical part of the NIPN journey, the European Commission. And so let's take the slides off, get Ampara on the screen, and hear your words to us as you reflect back. Wonderful, Ampara. Over to you.
Thank you. I see also other colleagues. I see Teresa from BMZ on a screen. So I recognize some of the partners that accompany us in the journey. I really have to say many thanks to organizers for giving me the opportunity to join you today at this moment of joy, a moment to celebrate 10 years of delivering on key elements to advance on nutrition outcomes. As many of you know, the European Commission has been one of the biggest supporters of Nutrition for Growth Summit past year in Paris, where Team Europe, including the European Union and 7 member states, greatly contributed to the success of the summit with a joint pledge of 6.5 billion euros for the period 2024-2029, including the EU pledge of 3.4 billion for 2024-2027. And NIPN, National Information Platform for Nutrition, represents one of our key responses to the challenges in the fight against malnutrition. It represents, as you said and reiterated, a 10-year investment, which is not common in development cooperation. This reflects, in our view, the European Commission's strong commitment to nutrition and evidence-based policymaking. Such a long program implementation period has allowed national platforms to mature, become visible, and establish credibility with governments and stakeholders. NIPN represents an example of shared responsibility between partners, key, in my view, to ensure sustainable impact. NIPN has acknowledged that countries own their agendas and has built on dialogue and joint needs identification. To give some examples, but I think Barbara already very well highlighted key achievements, but I may reiterate. In Zambia, we supported responses to emergency crises. In Côte d'Ivoire, focusing on good practices and food practices and dietary behaviors. In Niger, working on the nexus of humanitarian development and resilient efforts. The initiative has also embraced technological innovation, including digital tools and data analytics. In Laos, platforms are exploring artificial intelligence to strengthen analysis and decision support. NIPN shows the power of multisectoral coordination because nutrition is not only a health issue, it intersects with agriculture, social protection, education, and economic development. NIPN has demonstrated that multisectoral coordination works when the right structures and resources are in place. The legacy of NIPN is not only the platforms themselves, it is the culture of evidence, collaboration, and national ownership that has helped build. This legacy will remain essential as countries continue their efforts to improve nutrition and human development outcomes. And I thank again partner countries, NIPN teams, platforms, and all European Union colleagues and from member states that were highly motivated to make this program work. Let me just add a few words on our European Commission global frameworks. As you know, or some of you may know, in the framework of our current Global Gateways strategy, we need to further deliver on promoting transformative investments at scale, including around nutrition. Promoting investments encloses as well working in the policy matters, and we could definitely build on NIPN outcomes. Further, in July 2025, the Commission adopted proposals for the Multi-Annual Financial Framework 2028-2034, including Global Europe, which will be the main financial instrument for external action. Global Europe is designed to be an enabling instrument with a broad toolbox to serve multiple policy areas, including food and nutrition security. In this broad context, our Global Gateways strategy will continue to be implemented. And in the words of our commissioner during a past gathering, a very recent gathering, we need to deliver on investments, including around nutrition. For nutrition, concretely, it means to build as well public and private partnerships, finding converging areas of collaboration. Guided by some of the evidence and policies NIPN has helped to support. Many thanks again for this time you are giving me, this space, and looking forward taking bilateral questions, if any.
Ampara, thank you so much. And absolutely a very big thank you, because those words of allowing NIPN to function for 10 years, and you said that allowed maturity, visibility, and credibility for NIPN at each of the country levels that you do not get in projects that run for a shorter period of time. So we heard from all our countries that I think all of them are saying those three elements, maturity, visibility, and credibility, have definitely been a key feature. So thank you again to the European Commission for your commitment. Another partner that's been with us and accompanied us on the journey is, of course, BMZ, as they are known. So it's lovely to have Teresa Herbold join us, Senior Policy Advisor for the Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, which, as I said to most of us in the field, is BMZ. Teresa, over to you for your words as you reflect back on the NIPN journey.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much for the possibility to be here and join you in this meeting, and also for the very inspiring examples and experiences from NIPN that we heard from the different countries. Let me first explain a bit going back why Germany decided to support NIPN in 2020, and we already built on the excellent work of the EU Commission, the Gates Foundation, and others. And let me explain why supporting evidence-based nutrition programs still remains important for us at BMZ. So we joined, as Barbara already mentioned, the journey as co-founders 5 years ago. NIPN for us is part of a larger program by the EU Commission and the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development. And this overall program has the aim to advance nutrition goals worldwide jointly as Team Europe. A strong pillar of this joint program is data and evidence for informed policy decision making. And that is very much in line with the BMZ priorities back then, but already nowadays, because of two reasons. So firstly, food and nutrition security has always been at the core of term development cooperation. In 2015, the ministry launched the so-called Special Initiative to transform agriculture and food systems, with the ambition to accelerate progress towards SDG 2, zero hunger, zero malnutrition. And I know that during the last 10 years, landscape for the international and development cooperation shifted, but our focus on food security and nutrition remained, and was reinforced with the launch of our new strategy for term development cooperation beginning of this year. And the second reason is that data and evidence are very key for effective, efficient, and sustainable decision making. They are necessary to provide sound policy assessments and advice, to ensure accountability for political commitments. We already heard the references to the N4G commitments, as well as to take progress against overall goals like the SDGs. I think we heard very excellent examples already from different countries, so I would like here to only highlight two reflections from a broader perspective on the NIPN project, which I think laid the foundation for the project to be so successful, and thus these are two aspects upon which we can build looking ahead. The first, not reinventing the wheel. So the program did not collect new nutrition data, but built on existing data and contributed to making better use of these. Nutrition data is, as we heard, is collected by different ministries, different entities, the Statistical Bureau, Education Ministry, Health Services, UN organizations. But it's hardly shared between these. So I think laying the foundation for collaboration between the different ministerial bodies, for establishing MOUs, for data sharing agreements, and for implementing technical solutions also for data sharing was a very important basis upon which we can further collaborate in this multi-sectorial, multi-stakeholder approach. The second highlight for me is that NIPN asks the right questions and try to find an appropriate answer to them. It allowed to systematically address relevant policy questions and to provide meaningful answers. And we already heard the very good examples from Kenya or Cote d'Ivoire that these policy questions were developed in a participatory approach, including different stakeholders and thus allowing to integrate nutrition really across different sectors. And NIPN, and that was also highlighted by Barbara and by the other speakers, is country-owned and country-led, so meaning that the platforms adapted to the national priorities and the contexts and are linking their policy work to the relevant political questions in the countries, to budget questions, etc. And here I just want to reiterate the very inspiring example that we heard from Ethiopia. Integrating nutrition in school meals, for example, is quite an important topic because we know that having good and healthy diets for the youngest in the society lays the basis for productive and healthy lives and for economic growth of the partner countries. Now, in this reflection mode, I also want to look ahead with you. We already heard these inspiring interventions from country representatives, so I would like to focus on global level. What can we learn from NIPN, and where can we further build on the work of NIPN?
If I can ask you just to wrap up.
I will wrap up, but I just want to highlight that for me, what is very important is that we keep the added value of data and evidence and show this. We know that jointly with the Nutrition for Growth Summit, also another big achievement for nutrition was made with the MDDW and the MDDCH as an SDG indicator. So the Minimum Dietary Diversity Indicator for women, short MDDW, and children, MDD was introduced as a new SDG indicator. Having now a first indicator that speaks to nutrition and healthy diets within this SDG framework is very important to globally track progress for nutrition and to show that what we achieve at country level with the NIPN teams, for example, and with the NIPN platforms also shows that we are able to make progress at global level. And I'm very happy to see that Germany continues to support the uptake of the indicator, continues to support the NIPN countries in collecting and calculating the NDDW, and thus answering very relevant policy questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Teresa, and for being with us on the journey. It really has been much valued and much appreciated. So I won't repeat anything what you've said, other than everything has been accelerating progress towards improving food security and nutrition. So thank you so much. Let me come to you now, Paul. Lovely to have you with us as well. And Paul Troy is the Nutrition Policy Lead from Irish Aid from the Department of Foreign Affairs. And we've also so appreciated having you hold our hand as we've gone along. And I'd love to hear your reflections on how you've perceived NIPN and the value it's given to the work that you do. Thank you, and over to you, Paul.
Hey, many thanks. And I just thank the co-hosts for organising today's event and inviting Ireland to participate, and commend the success that has been achieved over the last 10 years. My intervention will focus more on how or what we're doing to try and keep the prioritisation of nutrition going forward, really, because without it, it's critical. And just to say that, global development cooperation is at a very critical juncture, and progress in tackling the central challenge of poverty and malnutrition has slowed, and humanitarian needs are rising. And this is something we cannot afford to ignore at this time. Ireland remains committed to our international development programme. And we're long-standing champions to reduce hunger and malnutrition globally, which is firmly rooted in our history. The right to food will be one of our thematic priorities for our campaign for membership of the Human Rights Council 2027 to 2029, and that is so we can advance the right to food and freedom from hunger and malnutrition as a right for everyone. It has been said repeatedly throughout the last hour and a half the importance of nutrition. It's a marker and a maker of development. But we know it's one of the most cost-effective drivers for development and prosperity, which my colleagues have mentioned. Improved nutrition is the platform for progress across health, education, employment, empowerment of women, and the reduction of inequality. But it also lays the foundation for peaceful and secure and stable societies. But that said, it doesn't necessarily get the traction it needs or the priority it requires. My colleagues have already spoken to N4G and the success of N4G. Ireland committed to 1 billion out of that Team Europe approach for over the next 4 years, with a specific intention of focusing on acute malnutrition in children. And we know data management is critical to addressing malnutrition, full stop. The summit also recognized nutrition as integral to the right to food and to a healthy and dignified life. It must be noted that in addition to Team Europe's approach, there were 586 new commitments at N4G from 82 countries. And these commitments need to be realized and implemented to accelerate progress across the global nutrition targets. We continue, along with other partners, to support the Global Nutrition Report as hosts of the Nutrition Accountability framework to track these commitments and track progress, which is very, very important at these times. And we call for the support for the Global Nutrition Report. We worked through a number of other partners. In particular, we'll mention the Scaling Up Nutrition movement, which is active in 67 countries, and it has a critical role in championing nutrition globally across the development sector. People have already mentioned about how nutrition isn't just for the health sector, and which is very true, but addressing health has a critical role for addressing, and it's not an add-on to the health agenda. It's right at the core of the health agenda. Last year, Ireland with Ethiopia led at the World Health Assembly the process for the resolution on extending the comprehensive implementation plan on maternal and young and infant child nutrition to 2030. What we really would like to see is this resolution's implementation by all member states, which really calls for the integration of nutrition, essential nutrition actions within the health system and across, particularly in the agri-food systems and social protection, to advance the global nutrition targets. Last year at the UN General Assembly, Ireland hosted a high-level ministerial meeting for food and nutrition champions to advance political momentum and to advance the shared objective in promoting food security and nutrition globally. I think it has already been said, malnutrition is one of humanity's pressing challenges, and we must continue to prioritize the nutrition agenda to address this. We must use every platform, every opportunity, and every stakeholder there is to collectively advance this. So we fully, nutrition data is critical to addressing malnutrition, but the onus is on all of us collectively to keep nutrition as a priority agenda for all. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Paul, and for this continued commitment. Although we're seeing that NIPN in its current format is not going to exist, it's just reshaping, and the commitment that we're seeing from the three of you as our partners, our international partners, is still there. And that's really important for everyone to remember, because as you said, the goals still have to be achieved, and we haven't won the war on this yet. So thank you to all three of you for your commitment. As we come to the end of our session together, it's only vitally important that I hand over for closing remarks from Laura Barrington, who is the coordinator of C4N-NIPN. It's been really an honor having you work with the team when you took over. And Laura, I think today is an important day to be celebrating your team as well. And so let me hand over to you to give us your closing remarks. Laura, over to you.
Thank you, Jane. I hope I can be heard and seen. Thank you, Jane, and a sincere thank you also to our dear colleagues for your impressive compendium on the achievements of NIPN, and other colleagues on the reflections of 10 years of NIPN. It's such a pleasure to see so many other colleagues and partners online. Really good to see familiar names and faces. It's an honor for me to close this milestone event for NIPN. A lot has been said, but allow me to add my few thoughts to close. Over the last, closest celebration of the last 10 years of NIPN. Also globally, much has happened in the last 10 years. The global nutrition landscape has been impacted by crises driven by conflict, displacement, climate shocks, and economic instability. And I'm also referring here to the current reduced funding for surveys. And thus, it's even more important we continue our efforts to strengthen national nutrition information systems, and so that decision makers have the right data at the right time. And I cannot stress enough, as other my colleagues have done before me, of the importance of environment for nutrition. It's the basis. And then on to NIPN and the last 10 years, I think that the NIPN approach and the years of experience of implementation of NIPN, as highlighted in the last 90 minutes, can provide many recommendations for the current situation and for the future. For me, it comes down to 4 elements. Over the years, NIPN has grown from a bold idea into a powerful mechanism for country-led, evidence-based nutrition actions. and that comes down to country owned and country led. Those are the most important of the NIPN core principles that I see, which has enabled the countries to respond to their country needs. And as an implementing partner and in the name of NIPN Global Coordination, we've taken these principles seriously, and I hope we've mostly lived up to this aim. NIPN has shown that sustainable systems are built on partnerships, not on external solutions. And the second, for me, of the elements is important elements of NIPN is the flexibility of the methodology that allows adaptation to country context. Today, we've heard from the platforms in Ethiopia, Cote d'Ivoire, Kenya, and Niger, and how they have adapted to their NIPN to their national priorities and context. The third is the duration of donor support of the initiative. That's also been highlighted from other colleagues. It allowed the national platforms to establish themselves and fully develop their role in their countries with their governments and stakeholders. And the duration of donor support has enabled the building of a global community of practice. And this leads to the fourth element for me, and that is creating a community and a sustained space for exchange between countries. This has built a collective intelligence within NIPN on nutrition information systems as the platforms are dealing with the same or similar problems. And it's not just in their technical rigor, but in their ability to convene, to connect, and to catalyze change. The NIPN platforms represent a powerful group. And if I may add one more success factor, it depends on the people. In the case of NIPN, the people in the NIPN community. A community of colleagues I've always experienced as being ready to learn, to grow, to collaborate and connect and share their experiences with each other. And I'd like to remark on the bonds that have been built within this community, which are bound also by the singular and dedicated ambition to improve the nutritional situation through data. Looking ahead, the legacy of NIPN is not only the platforms themselves, but it's a culture of evidence, collaboration, and national ownership that it has helped to build. I'm reassured to know that there will continue to be EU and German development cooperation support for nutrition information systems for this legacy. And the NIPN approach is a proven path for enabling strong nutrition information systems, which evolve to meet current country needs and improve monitoring through measuring important aspects of nutrition, like Teresa mentioned, for example, the indicators for healthy diets, the new SDG2 indicators, MDDW and MDDCH, as well as adopt innovative technologies. So thank you, colleagues. Today we celebrate your achievements, leadership, and contributions to improving nutrition in your countries and globally. Thank you for your dedication and partnership in this journey of 10 years of NIPN. Thank you all for all your contributions today as well.
Thank you, Laura. And it's so sad we didn't see you on the screen. You're just appearing as a black box at the moment, but we know that you and your team have been such a critical part of this journey. And so I think on behalf of all the countries and everyone attending this, we also want to thank you for the commitment that you've had. Okay. So as we close this session, I'm going to quote again, of course, as I often do, the wonderful Nelson Mandela. And I think what's appropriate on this session of celebration is to remind us that he said, just when you climb one mountain and you get to the top and you celebrate, you find there are other mountains to climb. But the important part is to take that first next step and who you have besides you. So NIPN, we continue to have mountains to climb, but what we know is that we will take that next step and that we will have others and us as a community besides each other as we journey forward. So at this time of celebration, thank you for carving out the time in your diary. Thank you for all the commitments you have made. Look, there's the team. Wonderful to see them all. So if anyone else wants to turn on their cameras as we close the session, I thank you so much for making the time to be with us as we celebrate NIPN, its past, its present, and its future. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. Goodbye. Au revoir. Merci. Stay safe.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.
Au revoir. Merci.